Hi, I'm Diane. I work for Somerset Libraries and I'm going to show you how to make a double thickness face mask, a bit like this one. So I like to use a cotton fabric, as ideally the mask needs to be washed after each use, and I'm actually going to use 2 men's cotton handkerchiefs. So let me just show you to start. So what you'll need is you will need 2 pieces of fabric, and they will need to be 7 inches by 9 inches approximately. If you want a contrasting colours, that is, which I have here. Or if you'd rather, you can just have 1 piece of fabric, which is approximately 14 by 9 inches, and then you can fold it in half. You will also need some extra little bit of fabric, about 2 inches by 2.5 inches, and that's used to bind the edge to make a channel for the elastic. And you will need a couple of lengths of elastic, about 11 inches long, or if you haven't got any elastic, you can use some cord or fabric, which will need to be a little bit longer. And this is actually the edge of the handkerchief that I've cut off. So let's just see where we're going from here, just a moment. Okay, so as you can see, I've got as I said, my 2 pieces of fabric, and I'll cut them out. I'll put them right sides together, and you need to either pin across these long edges if you need to, or if you're happy, you can just sew along the 2 long edges, and the sewing needs to be about 1/4 inch in from the edge. So I'm just going to do that, and I will come back to you. Okay, so having sewn down the 2 long edges, I've now got a tube. I'm going to turn it inside out, like so. And I'm just going to press it flat, so I'm just going to iron the edges so that it stays nice and flat. Okay, so I've ironed the seams, so it's a little bit flatter now. Now the slightly complicated bit is when you need to make about 4 pleats down through here. And I have to say, I usually do it by trial and error. So I'm just going to sort of have a go like this. 2, 3, if I can get another one. Oh, that might be do. So they will look a little bit like this. I don't know if you can see those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin them in place. And this is a little bit fiddly. So while I'm pinning them in place, I am just going to put you on pause. Okay, so I've pinned the pleats along here. I don't know if you can see that, at both ends. And I've pressed it lightly. You'll see that my lines aren't very straight. That's an advantage and a disadvantage of having checked fabric. You should be able to follow the lines, but it also shows up any flaws. And on the back, it's just white on the back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stitch along here about 1/4 inch from the edge along both edges, and I'll just do that. It's a bit noisy with the sewing machine, so I'll turn the off, put you on pause for another moment. Okay, so I've sewn along the seams just along here and here. As you can see, our face mask is coming along quite nicely now. Next I need to do is cut the extra little bit of fabric that goes along here. I said it will be about 2.5 inches. It will depend how big your pleats are. So this one is actually 3 inches. So you'd need to check to see, because the fabric needs to be just a little bit longer than that each way to fold over the edge. Okay, so I've cut out another piece of fabric. I need 2 of these. This is the first one, and this one's actually 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches, but it will depend on the size, the length of the pleated edge. So I have folded in the sides, the 2 short edges, just a little bit, just to have a neatened edge, and then folded the whole thing in half, and then also in quarters really. So I'm tucked in these 2 other pieces here. So I'm not explaining that very well. And that will go in here, and that will go in there. You can't see because my hand's in the way. I hope you can sort of see what I've done. Made a bit of a sausage here like that. and that is going to go over the edge of the pleated edge. This will be the channel where the elastic goes through here, or the ties, and it also neatens off the edge. So I'm just going to sew along this edge here, and I'll do the same for the other end of the face mask as well. Okay, I've sewn one end, and that's the. I'm just going to do the other end in a minute. It's a little bit fiddly. Won't be a moment. Okay, so I've sewn both ends, and you can now see there's a little channel down through here, and that's where we're going to thread through either the elastic or the ties. I'm going to put ties on this one. So this is 2 of the edges. Well, I left them as one long edge, cut around the man's handkerchief in the beginning. Put a safety pin on the end of here because that's much easier to make it thread through, and you just squish it all the way through here, and then when it is through and out the other side, you will hopefully see we have our first tie all the way through. Oops, there we go. And then you'll be able to tie it to length. I'll just put the other one through a minute. Okay, so this is our finished face mask. As you see, it's 2 sides, so we've got a white side and a grey check side. And as I said, I've put ties on this one. Look, as you can see here. I would demonstrate for you and put it on, but 10 weeks no haircut? I don't think so. If you like the video and you enjoy watching other videos that we put up on Facebook, then please do respond and send your messages back or show us your finished products.